So this is the final round of the Olympiad, round 19, and USA won the Olympiad with an incredible score of over 54 points, trailed by Hungary with 48 points and Argentina and Poland 47. As you can see here, there is the final result. Clearly, the USA was the superior and the best nation of all for chess in 1937. Or maybe they were lucky, who knows. The last game that is chosen by the author is between Grau from Argentina. Grau was also a famous chess book author against Vaitonis from Lithuania. The game is a little long, but probably it's worth to close the book. Notice that the book doesn't close here because then the author goes to show how many games he actually was able to recover through patient searching of score sheets in different magazines, people who survive, player that went to play. So he did a great job at historical level, and that's why this book is worth every dollar you can pay. But honestly, it wasn't even expensive. I think I paid less than $10. So as you can see, there are a lot of books that are teaching you a lot, both at historical level and in chess, but at the same time the cost is nothing. It's like a coffee at Starbucks, right? So d4, knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, d5, knight c3, knight bd7, bishop g5, bishop e7, e3, and castle. Rook c1, c6, bishop d3, d takes c4, bishop takes c4, and knight d5. The freeing method of these last two black moves is usually named after Capablanca, who popularized it after beginning his career with Lasker's system, that you can see in the game Stalberg versus Aitken in page 36 that we saw, in fact. It had been analyzed in depth for 15 or 20 years. In the 1927 World Championship match, 32 out of 34 games had been orthodox Queen's Gambit decline, and Capablanca, but not Alekhine, repeatedly played this system of defense. So that match should be worth watching because it will show you a clash between two styles, and Alekhine obviously had to overcome it, and it must not be easy, right? I think it's not been easy because Alekhine after refused to play with Capablanca again, so he was afraid of giving him a chance to play again and get the title back. Bishop takes e7, queen takes e7, castle, knight takes e3, rook takes e3, and e5. This might be called the normal position of a Queen's Gambit decline. It's also known as an orthodox game, okay? At the time, even here the beaten tracks continue. Rubinstein, probably the greatest of all masters of the Queen's Gambit, used to continue with d takes e5, okay? And here there is a line for those who are interested. I'm just more interested in seeing how it goes. So the difference is on which squares you want to play. It seems in the game Queen C2 was played, and this gives you the idea that you want to play on the light squares for what it is worth. Again, I think for master level the topic is clear. For club players, probably not so much. Okay. So after Queen C2, e takes d4, e takes d4, knight f6, and rook e1. Queen d6, knight g5. If you are able to remove this, is a checkmate, but obviously it's not so easy. Bishop g4. The game has not yet begun. All this was known analysis at the time. So very interesting, because in the previous game we saw that the theory was developed only up to move 6, and Capablanca 1 year later would introduce a novelty. Instead, at this game, in this moment, we are at move 16, and this is a theory. It's still theory. That's incredible, right? So who was played this one? It seems that it was Ruben Fine that considered this the best move and played it in his games. The bishop obviously doesn't want to stay here, he wants to go here, so it takes away the problem that you have here, right? So, because not only this want to go here, but this want to enter into the game and try to give checkmate too, right? Or a kingside attack that will weaken the king side or gain an advantage. So that's why. Okay. So let's see how the game continued. Rook c, e3, bishop h5, and now, since you are white, pause the video and try to find out what is the next move by white. Please really pause the video, because this will be very, very useful for you to understand chess. The next move is amazing. Okay. Boom! Rook e6. Incredible, right? Possibly the finest move of the whole Olympiad, and played in the last round. White threatens not only rook takes d6, but like I told you, you want to remove the defender. If you are able to remove this, the next move is queen take h7, game over, right? So how could black continue here? He continue also with another good move. I think here he should have put a diagram. Instead he put a diagram 2 moves before, so it doesn't make much sense. Okay, let's see what happens. For example, no? What happens if he plays this? That white plays this, right? And if you do something else like this, the situation is very, very ugly. Why? Because this is a discovered check. Then, when you move, or I don't know, you try to block, there is this. It's a mess. It's a mess. The game is over, as you can see, right? So let's go back. What was here? Probably here. Okay. So you cannot really take on e6 that easily, and so black played queen f4. Very good move too, right? But once more, I tell you, the idea is to remove this defender. So can you guess what is the next move? Of course, rook takes f6, because now the checkmate is real. So what do you play as black? You need to take on g5. But once you take on g5, oops, and bishop g6. Wow, beautiful. A fascinating passage of play. Grau goes happily into the endgame. So yeah, all of this for not really getting a win like we think about it. It's just to go into an endgame. That's interesting. Wow. At the end of the combination, white has succeeded in maintaining equality of material, but white's initiative is significant. His only weakness is an isolated central pawn. Again, we see this theme over and over and over, so we are learning from it, okay? Which he proceeds at once to liquidate. Yeah, but once he proceeds to liquidate, the problem is the formation is the same, so I don't know. d5, rook ac8, rook g e5, b5, bishop f1, a6, and d6. Black, having refused to capture, must now take the consequence, a central pass pawn right down his throat. The queenside majority which he gets, this is a queenside majority, in return is only a long-term sort of compensation. f6, rook e7, rook f d8, boom, again. The rest of the game revolves around this pawn. So let's see how he actually was able to win. Now, notice that you cannot play this move, okay? Otherwise, this is kind of oops, and you must decide between losing the rook or I don't know. So this cannot be played. So what did we play? Rook b8. Again, also this game, if you have a library of games, you need to keep it, because in the previous game we saw how black got the isolated queen pawn and was able to convert the advantage into a win. Here we see how the isolated queen pawn is advanced and wins the game. So this is something one should keep in a collection of games on the middle games under the isolated queen pawn, okay? So let's see how white continues with g4. Boom! Grau is in great form here, but he prevents black from bringing his bishop to bear on the pawn from f5. So g4 to avoid bishop f5. But obviously black attacks. f5, bishop g2, bishop e4, bishop takes e4, f takes e4, and now rook 1 takes e4. The fourth material gain with the bishop's gun. The technical problem confronting white is how to force the game before the black pawns become dangerous, because of course when you have a majority, when you have a free black pawn, you need push, 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 right? There is apparently no direct way to enforce the promotion of a blockaded pawn, but black has a secondary weakness, including the king, and white also has a majority of his own. This is a majority for white, and generally the kingside majority is good, huh? Let's see what happens in the game. The game continues with h6, rook 4 e6, king f8, h4, c5, king f1. The black queenside pawn may yet be dangerous, so Grau starts a forced march with his king to the threatened sector, before resuming his own advance on the king side. c4, king e2, b4, king d2, and a5, g5, back to business of winning, h take, a4, g6. Wow, beautiful move. This is start to become a problem for black. White is forced to reach the 6th rank by controlling f7. He will now be able to double the rooks on the 7th, producing another pass pawn as well as mating threat. The end is in sight. Rook a8, rook f7, king g8, rook e7, c3 check, king c2, c takes b2, king takes b2, king h8, f4, rook a b8, f5, b3, a takes b, and rook takes g7, and it's game over. And with this we finish the Lost Olympiad. And I would like to ask you one thing. I wanted to show the games of the USA because of the team, but this has been a kind of a long thing, right? 19 rounds, 19 videos. So I think if a lot of people will request a particular country, I will be happy to provide the videos for that country. For the moment, this is the final list, and USA won. The last country was Scotland, and the before last was Norway. So it's kind of interesting. I hope you enjoyed this beautiful book, and see you for more.